Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I make one of my favorite cuts of steak in New York strip. So I'm going to move you in closer and we'll get started.
Okay, great. So these are two grass-fed beef strip loin steaks that I got from Butcher Box back when Texas had the big freeze, so I ordered meat from them so I could have some stocked in my freezer. Some people will say that they don't like the taste of grass-fed beef, but I didn't really notice a difference. So here I'm just taking them out of their vacuum sealed bags and getting all of the moisture off of them. A lot of people will tell you that steaks have to be room temperature to cook evenly and for good browning, but really it's most important that it is as dry as possible. So I'm using a bunch of paper towels to dry them off before I season them. I am just going to season mine with old-fashioned kosher salt. I use Morton's because that's what I grew up on and that's my preference. So I'm going to salt it pretty heavily on one side and then go get my pepper grinder, and with a fine grind I'm going to do roughly the same amount of pepper that I did to salt, and I'll flip these over and do it on the other side as well. Now these are seasoned, I'm just going to get any excess salt and pepper off the cutting board. That butter, thyme, and garlic will be saved for later for butter basting, so let's get our skillet. So here is my 10-inch cast iron that's been heated over medium heat. You want it to be hot so when the steaks go in, they sizzle, very similar to how this sounds. So I'm just quickly washing my hands, and then I'm going to take the garlic and crush it so it's ready to go when we butter baste these steaks. My favorite way to cook them in a cast iron is to do the quick turning method, especially with thicker steaks like these are. So what that is, as the name implies, I just flip the steaks every 30 seconds or so, and a nice crust will begin to form. Like, look at that, it's nice, but we can do better. So back into the pan and just keep flipping. So cast iron does a great job at maintaining heat, but it's not the most even cooking, so I do move the steaks around the pan. That's the thermometer I'm going to use. You can see right now it's at 101 degrees for one steak. I like a medium rare steak, so normally I aim for 145 or 150. And I keep that thermometer right there because it's important to temp it so you know it's correct. My mom's really good, she can just eyeball it for the most part, and now we've got 135 almost. So that's my indicator to cut the heat, and it's time to baste these steaks with butter. So I'm going to take roughly 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, the 3 cloves of garlic that I left the skin on, and a few sprigs of thyme. And as the name basting implies, I'm going to let the butter melt in the pan and then spoon that over the steaks. It will pick up the aromas of the thyme and garlic, as well as get all the flavor off the bottom of the cast iron and put it back over the steaks. So I normally only baste steaks for about 60 to 90 seconds because it's almost to the temperature that I want it, and carryover cooking will allow for it to rise to the proper temperature. So I am just going to move the steaks out of this pan, dump all of the butter and aromatics on top, and I'm going to let it rest before we cut into it. Okay, and one final temperature check. This steak on the left is temping at right around 160, 161 there, and then the smaller steak on the right is 151, which is closer to what I prefer. Okay, so for slicing, I'm using an 8-inch chef's knife. This is a German style chef's knife. It's nice and heavy, and I consider it a meat and potatoes knife. So here we have our steaks, and I'm going to cut against the grain, which means I'm just going to angle them slightly, right around 45 degrees. That one got flipped all the way around. And then I'm going to cut them into little 1/2-inch strips. I find that easiest to eat. I will leave the other one whole just because I'm not going to eat it immediately, but I'll save that for, breakfast or reheating later. And you can't come to my apartment and eat something without flaky salt on top, so I'm just going to go ahead, probably a 2-finger pinch of salt right on top. Thank you so much for watching. This is the first video with my new camera and really excited about filming more, so like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you want me to do next. And until next time, happy eating!
Hi, Franklin. Do you want some steak? No.